have remained faithful I begin.
Yes, please.
We, the undersigned commissioners of Iebc, took an oath of office to defend the Constitution and the law in the discharge of our duties independently. We have remained faithful to our oath of office and shall continue to do so. We collectively and unanimously make the following statement pursuant to the media briefing we held yesterday evening, that is on the 15th of August 2022 at the same place, Serena Hotel, Nairobi, where we promise for a comprehensive statement with regard to the results of the August 9th, 2022 presidential election declared and announced by Mr. Wafula Chebukati in his capacity as the chairperson. In the Serena media briefing, we stated that we will not take ownership of the results of the results yesterday of the presidential election declared and announced by Mr. Chebukati. In this regards, our reasons to decline to take ownership of the results so declared and announced are as follows. 1. That the aggregation of the percentages of the results scored by the 4 presidential candidates who were on the ballot as declared by Mr. Chebukati presented to us a mathematical absurdity that defies logic. Take notice that Mr. Chebukati's aggregation was as follows. Raila Odinga, 48.85%. William Ruto, 50.49%. Waiga Maure, 0.27%. Wajakoya George, 0.44%. This summation gives us a total of 100.01%. The 0.01% translates to approximately 142,000 votes, which will make a significant difference in the final result. We therefore decline to take ownership of the said results because the aggregation resulted in a total exceeding the percentage of 100, which cast doubt on the accuracy of the source of the figures tallied, and when we demanded that we verify our record, the chairman declined, overruled us, and insisted on declaring and announcing the said result. That, number 2, contrary to the Constitution and legislation, the results declared and announced did not indicate the total number of registered voters, the total number of votes cast, or the number of rejected votes, if any. In this regard, the results announced by Mr. Chebukati lacked a critical ingredient, namely the total number of valid votes cast to support the percentages scored by the 4 candidates. Unless demonstrated otherwise, we all know that the percentage is essentially a fraction of a whole number. Hence, if, for example, the 7.17 million valid votes cast in favor of the winning candidate as declared and announced by Mr. Chebukati translates to 50.49%, then it was 50.49 of what? Further, take notice that Mr. Chebukati claimed that Raila Odinga attained 25% of votes in 34 counties, while William Ruto attained 25% in 39 counties. The question is, which figures in the 34 and 39 counties respectively constituted the independent variable to warrant the conclusion of 25% in 34 counties and 25% in the 39 counties for Raila and Ruto respectively? In the absence of a credible and verifiable explanation, we concluded that the process that went into generation of Form 34C, which he used to declare results of the presidential election, was opaque and incapable of earning our ownership and confidence. Number 3, guided by the authority of Minor Kiai case, petition number 106 of 2016, as upheld by the Court of Appeal in Civil Appeal number 105 of 2017 and affirmed by the Supreme Court of Kenya, we state categorically that the results of the presidential election held in August 9, 2022, declared and announced by Mr. Wafula Chebukati on August 15, 2022, belonged to himself and do not represent the declaration and announcement by Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. The Commission has to process the results before they are declared and announced by the chairperson. For the avoidance of doubt, let me quote the Minor Kiai case. It says, "We reiterate as we conclude that there is no doubt from the architect of the law, we have considered that the people of Kenya did not intend to vest or concentrate such sweeping and boundless powers in one individual, the chairperson of the appellant. The emphasis is that the Commission's chairperson has conducted the election as though he is the National Returning Officer, a non-existent role, and his role in declaring results that were not approved by plenary by all 7 commissioners renders the results unconstitutional to the extent that this is his own results as opposed to those of Iebc. In keeping to Article 138(2) of the Constitution, there is no national presidential election in Kenya, but rather the presidential election is held in each constituency. Point number 4, that in contrary to the Constitution and legislation, by the time the chairman declared and announced the final results from certain constituencies had not been announced. This is our statement. We promised you a comprehensive statement, so here we are, and we are going to give it out to the media. Thank you.
At what point did you realize that there was opaqueness?
Do you have the figures that are contrary
Yes.
to the ones that were issued by the chairman?
Also, why did you raise it?
Can we take one by one so that
So can we deal with just 2 questions for the moment, please?
Let me answer at what point did we realize the opaqueness? As I said yesterday, we have conducted the election and we did it to the best. We have improved in the processes as Iebc. We have upped the bar We have considered all the stages and processes that are supposed to be taken care of. But come to the last phase, the tallying phase. As I said yesterday, that at the end, that there was opaqueness. Things were not being shown to the public. You've been there, even at Bomas. And the screens are supposed to show cumulative numbers of the presidential candidates' votes as they garnered, and so we continued to read the results, isn't it? The same was not displayed to the public, and the same was not given to the commissioners. Just like the public was not aware, the same, the commissioners were not aware of the cumulative results as the day goes by. So 2 days to the end, it was not given out. So you could not clearly say that we have tallied 10 million, and this 10 million, this is how it is distributed. We have tallied 15, we have tallied 12 million. How is it distributed? The public needed to know. Progressively, the same, the commissioners didn't know.
Yes, what was your question?
My question was, do you have figures that are different from the ones that were declared by the chairman yesterday?
Do you have figures?
How many constituencies are plenary? And then why didn't you flag this issue earlier than bringing it up?
Secretary.
As a commission, we were not, as the Vice Chair has said, we were not doing the tallying. The tallying that was being done by our staff, technical staff, it was not known to the commissioners until the moment around 4:30, when Mr. Chebukati brought the results tabulated in the format. And he did not give us an opportunity to discuss the results. He just said, these are the results of each particular candidate. They have scored this and they have met the constitutional threshold, and therefore he is going to read the results. And he did not allow us to discuss to see whether there were any disparities. So as a commissioners, we did not have other results. Those are the results that we were supposed to have discussed before they are declared in accordance with the legal requirement. So we don't have, and we didn't have, because we were not doing any other results. It is those ones that he was doing. That is simple.
So you believe that there would have been a difference from the forms 34B that had been uploaded and ones that Kenyans had already tabulated through the processes and the final results?
We have given you the statement, and the statement has indicated 100.1%. The rest is for you to decide. We'll give you the statement to go and look at it. We do not know the actual numbers, but even if you looked at the screen, before the results were announced by Mr. Chebukati, they were required to announce constituencies that have not been announced. There were about 20 or slightly 20, between 20 and 30. We know that because Professor Ngurie was carrying the files to go and announce those results before Mr. Chebukati announces the presidential results.
Oh, okay, so sorry, can we hear your question?
Just one question.
No. We have given her.
We have told you that thing. Let me tell you.
We are going to take question.
Let me answer. We have said very, very clearly, and I want you to listen, that the final tallying of the results was not brought to the attention of the commission, so I will not be able to answer that question. It's only Mr. Chebukati who can answer that question for you.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yes.
Another question?
There's a question. The casted voted, valid voted counts casted from the Kicc do not reflect on the form 34A. Do you realize that?
Let me tell you, we have said what was announced. We are not taking ownership because it was not brought to our attention to look at them, analyze them, process them as it is required, even in the legislation. So I will not be able to answer that.
But my question is, Madam Chief, if you say you do not know the numbers and you are not involved in counting, but you partook in the process of announcing the results, someone asked, then what was your role at the government of Kenya?
Let me answer. Want to pick it?
Okay, let me explain this. We announced the results from several constituencies, all of us, and all the members of the commission. And once that is done, it was going to the back end. What we are saying that back end was the privacy of Chebukati, not the rest of the commissioners. And it would have required for him to bring that back end analysis to the plenary to discuss and look at the results and evaluate and see what has been done at the back end. That is very simple. So if you want to ask about that back end, then you can check with Mr. Chebukati.
But let me expound on that, please. The issue that we have, and I want to make this very clear, with the process, is the involvement of commissioners in making a decision that this is the final product that we are giving to the people of Kenya. If that is not determined by the commissioners, then it remains the duty and the role and the responsibility of only one person. And that is the issue that we had in the boardroom, where these are the final results. That's what he told us. And then we asked, how about some of the issues that the political parties had raised? And he said that, I will deal with that. And he never dealt with that. These issues that political parties were raising from the floor of the tallying center were important and needed not to have been disregarded. Now, these are the issues that we were answering. Where then did those issues go in the context of the final tally of the result that you are going to mention? This is our problem.
Well,
yes.
The last question.
Now that.
and also, as you answer that,
okay.
Doesn't the mandate to declare the presidential election rest with the chairperson of the committee, of the commission?
Yes.
Just like he did.
Yes, the mandation to declare. The mandate to declare is in the role of the chair of the commission. Yes, but before they are declared, they are processed, and we are saying that we did not process, and that's why they come out with glaring mistakes, and we don't take ownership of the same. Thank you. Those are options.
No, that's okay.
Okay, Swahili.
Okay, Kiswahili.
No.
Si nikupatie
na pia kwa nini mnasema
Uliza
kuwa
Kiswahili.
hakukuwa na uwazi
wacha tu niseme
katika
tu
swala zima?
Wacha tu niseme tu ile hoja moja kwamba katika ile tarakimu ambazo zimetolewa yale mahesabu hayaingiani. Ni vipi unaweza kusema umepata asilimia 100.01? Sote tulienda shule na tukiangalia 0.01, ukiangalia katika valid votes, hiyo ni kura 1140. Hizo kura, tukiangalia jinsi mchakato umeendelea, ni kura nyingi sana ambazo zinaweza kuleta tofauti. Sasa sisi tumesema yale makosa kama hayo hatukuhusishwa, kwa hivyo.
Okay, thank you very much.
Just one question. Just one question. But you've not really answered at all.
Right, a live address there by the 4 dissenting Iebc commissioners led by Vice Chair Juliana Cherera, as well as Commissioner Justus Nyang'aya, Commissioner Francis Wanderi, and Commissioner Irene Masit, just coming out yesterday. When they came out to speak, they say they were distancing themselves with the presidential election results that Mr. Wafula Chebukati announced yesterday, and they came out today to expound further on what they had said to be an opacity of the final phase of the tallying of the presidential election results. And what they were saying today, just want to read some of the issues that they have elaborated on, and saying also that they will be sending that comprehensive statement to the newsrooms, and saying that the aggregation in terms of the percentage of results as were announced yesterday by Wafula Chebukati and scored, and you know, as they were presented to them, had a mathematical absurdity, is what they say, and that this results also defied logic. What they have said is that the total tally of the percentages then leads to a summation that gives a total of 100.01%, and that this 0.01% translates to 142,000 votes, which in the opinion of the 4 commissioners has the capacity of swinging the final tally of the presidential vote. And for this reason, then they are saying that they would not want to associate themselves with the results as were announced. And just to remind you, those final tallies as were given by the presidential election returning officer, that is Wafula Chebukati, the final tally with which he declared then William Ruto as president-elect indicated that Ruto had garnered a total of 7,176,141, giving a summation of 50.49%. And in the same results, Raila Odinga, who came second after William Ruto, then garnered 6,942,930 votes. Now, if you do the difference between these two numbers, the difference is 233,211 votes. Now, the numbers that these 4 commissioners are bringing to the center of the conversation is 142,000 that they say is an extra, you know, the 0.01% that it forms a total collation of the percentages given to the 4 presidential candidates. The other thing they are saying is, while it is constitutional that Wafula Chebukati, as the presidential returning officer, is the one mandated to give the final tally and to declare winner, issue Form 34D, that there is a requirement that all the commissioners, the entire commission, is in agreement before the announcement is made. And it would be interesting to hear this from a legal perspective, saying that they were not involved in the final, you know, phase, saying that the numbers were supposed to tally, rather, even as they continued to tally the constituency results, rather, were supposed to be displayed at the Bomas of Kenya, and that this was not done, so Kenyans could not tell at which point they were, how the numbers were distributed, and that even them, together with the Kenyans, were not aware. So very serious allegations they are making here. It will be keen to see what legal implications then they have going forward on the presidential election results as were declared and announced by Mr. Wafula Chebukati yesterday. And I want to throw this conversation now over to Fred Indimuli, who is at our City Center studio with a panel, just to give more insights on what the 4 dissenting commissioners have just said. Fred. Now over to Fred Indimuli.
Thank you, Sharon. And yes, we continue here with my panelists, Dismas Mukua, Ishmael Nyaribo, and Rafael Obonyo. Gentlemen, you've listened to the 4 commissioners, the 4 dissenting commissioners. They're talking about a mathematical absurdity. You were spot on, Dismas, because you said any such complaint would basically be about arithmetics.
Absolutely. But what has come out from that conference is the number one, and it's a question you did ask the lawyer, whether they may be interested in a job at the IBC. These commissioners appear largely to be incompetent. They don't have a capacity they don't have competence. Even the manner, the way they are reading the statement, it's not convincing. That's number one. Then number two, they've not given us with a certain level of alacrity, or rather clarity, on when they established that there were errors. These are mathematical errors. Because a number of questions have been posed and they've been thrown into a tight corner. They're not able to answer the questions. And I suspect majority of Kenyans who are listening to this news conference right now are looking for a beverage because they've left everybody yawning. Even the statements look poorly done. So in my view, while we expected some heavy dossier, right now there's nothing to write home about.
Okay, let's cross over to the KICC. We can see some bit of activity where at the venue where we expect an address from the Azimio La Umoja One Kenya coalition flag bearer Raila Odinga. Let's just hear what is happening right now. We can see Raila Odinga is present. Venue where we
Members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. We have a statement that we want to issue today following the general elections that were held in our country on the 9th of this month. Today, I want to address my fellow Kenyans and the international community about the 2022 Kenyan elections and the role of the Independent Election and Boundaries Commission, the Iebc, the body mandated by the Constitution and the law to conduct and manage elections. On August 9th, 2022, millions of Kenyans turned out in large numbers in an attempt to choose their leaders at the national, county, and local levels after long and generally peaceful campaigns. But yesterday, August 15th, our budding democracy suffered a major setback. As a result, Kenya faces a grave legal and political crisis as a result of the actions of Mr. Wafula Chebukati, the chairperson of the Iebc. The Constitution and our laws are clear about how the Iebc should conduct its business. There is no more important role for the Iebc than the conduct, transmission, and tallying of the presidential election. We are painfully aware of the past political biases by the Iebc that plunged this country into its darkest chapter. The terrible memories of the aftermath of the 2007 elections are still fresh in our minds. In 2017, the Supreme Court of Kenya nullified the presidential election again because of the misconduct of the Iebc. What we saw yesterday was a travesty and a blatant disregard of the Constitution and the laws of Kenya by Mr. Chebukati and a minority of Iebc commissioners. The law is clear on the role of the chairperson of the Iebc. The law does not vest in the chairperson the powers of a dictator to rule the Iebc unilaterally. The Iebc is structured as a democratic institution in which decisions must be taken either by consensus or by a vote of the majority. The chairperson and a tiny minority of commissioners have no legal authority to take weighty decisions and proclaim them as the rulings of the Iebc. The law on the Iebc provides that unless a unanimous decision is reached, a decision on any matter before the Commission shall be by a majority of the members present and voting. I want to repeat. Unless a unanimous decision is reached, a decision on any matter before the Commission shall be by a majority of the members present and voting. In addition, the Court of Appeal in the Maina Kiai case ruled, and I quote again, reiterate, as we conclude, that there is no doubt from the architecture of the laws we have considered that the people of Kenya did not intend to vest or concentrate such sweeping and boundless powers in one individual, that is the chairperson of the appellant. That is why I and Azimio, La Umoja, One Kenya, and the nation at large were shocked yesterday to learn that Mr. Chebukati alone decided to pronounce himself on the supposed